president, of course, yesterday singling out Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren for spending at least 9 years pretending to be an American Indian in order to get a better job. It's called fraud. Well, exalted minds like CNN's Jim Acosta called Trump's use of the name Pocahontas a racial slur. But who's the racist here? Elizabeth Warren falsely claimed Indian ancestry for years. It got her tenure at Harvard. Nisu Washanog, or Two Hawks, is the general director of the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of America. Unlike Elizabeth Warren, he has not received a six-figure Ivy League academic job by falsely claiming to be an Indian. In fact, he can't even get the bloated hedge fund known as Brown University to return stolen American Indian land that it owns, though he is trying, and we're supporting him in that. Two Hawks joins us tonight. Two Hawks, it's great to see you.
How you doing, Tucker? Great to be here.
Before I ask you about Elizabeth Warren and whether you've ever run into her at any kind of tribal gathering, an update on your effort to reclaim land that Brown University, you say, stole from your ancestors and is used to miseducate our kids with their fake university hedge fund operation that they have. Have you gotten the land back from Brown?
Oh, well, they signed an agreement a couple weeks ago, and we're going through the process right now. Steps moving forward at our pace. We're the ones controlling it, so they're definitely moving forward in a positive manner. But no, they haven't given the land over yet.
Did you take our advice and stage a protest on the quad?
No, we didn't have to. I think that once they saw the last interview I did with you, the tenor of the conversation changed a bit. So we appreciate the support and awareness.
Well, we're on your side. They claim to be sensitive, but are they really? You know the answer. So Elizabeth Warren, how does it make you feel? Here, she claims to be an American Indian and gets a six-figure job at an Ivy League school. You just want the land that your ancestors had back from Brown University. You don't get tenure. I mean, have you gotten a tenured position at Brown?
No, absolutely not. And I think particularly being from the region where we're from, the Eastern Woodlands, and being Algonquian, it's a bit of an insult because we have to constantly struggle on a daily basis with the stereotypical views of what a American Indian is supposed to look like. So for someone to kind of throw that on when it's advantageous and then take it off when it's not, that's a bit of an insult, absolutely.
So why do you think one Ivy League university awarded a multi-$100,000 contract to Elizabeth Warren on the basis of fake Indian ancestry, and the Ivy League university you're dealing with has blown you off for so long?
There's a lot of speculation to that. Perhaps it's the circles that she's moving in, people that she knows, the fact that she knows how to play the game. I couldn't quite speak directly to her, but I do think it is an issue and something that needs to be addressed.
So I don't think she's ever clarified. She's never taken the $89 Ancestry.com test that could, settle this once and for all. But from your knowledge of indigenous peoples, have you ever run into her at any gatherings? Is she a well-known American Indian?
I haven't seen her around, not in these parts. I don't want to speak on behalf of all Indian folks across the country, but we definitely haven't seen her around these parts, and I haven't run into her, so I couldn't say yay or nay.
So is it really racist to have a painting of Andrew Jackson in the Oval Office? Well, first Senator Elizabeth Warren accused President Trump of racism for jokingly calling her Pocahontas yesterday. Come on, get over it, Elizabeth. Then media outlets piled on, alleging it was even racist to have such a ceremony in front of Old Hickory. The Washington Post informs us that President Andrew Jackson was also called Indian Killer. CNN turned to him and said, well, not a historian, but an entertainer, to explain, well, why that is the case.
He clearly is a racist, and to pretend like he's not. Yesterday, he's honoring Native Americans in front of a portrait of Andrew Jackson, who was called Sharp Knife. He killed tons of Indians, so he can't pretend. It wasn't just a slur. It was that he did it in front of somebody who murdered. The Trail of Tears was based on the guy that was behind him hanging in the portrait. So
the constant defense is that's not what he means. The Andrew Jackson thing, he had no idea about his history.
He's too dumb to be president.
I'm sure he went right off Wikipedia to find out about the Trail of Tears. Joining us now to set the record straight is presidential historian, author of the fabulous book, so many of them, Reagan Rising and Citizen Newt, Craig Shirley, along with Elizabeth Warren's conservative challengers, now an independent, self-described real Indian, and he's an MIT scientist, Shiva Ayodhya. Both of you, it's great to have you on. Craig, got to start with you. Andrew Jackson. Okay, it's one of the paintings up in the Oval Office.
Yeah, sure.
I've been in the Oval Office, one of my favorite paintings, a beautiful painting. set the record straight here.
Reagan also hung Andrew Jackson in the Oval Office.
Another racist.
Yeah, exactly. Every president of the 19th century prosecuted the war against the American Indians. Abraham Lincoln, who one of the co-hosts on NBC cited as being an example for Trump, also prosecuted. There were massacres in Minnesota, there were massacres in Colorado, there was a forced relocation, there were hangings of Indians. So Abraham Lincoln also, and even into the 20th century, Phil Sheridan, who'd been general of the Union Army, coined the phrase, went out to go after Indians in the West, and he coined the phrase, the only good Indian is a dead Indian. Teddy Roosevelt said he agreed with that statement, but he might cut out 1 out of 10 Indians and give them some consideration.
So your point is, none of this criticism, they do it to Robert E. Lee. It's a whitewashing of history.
This is what's known as presentism. This is the fallacy
Presentism.
Yes, the fallacy of imposing current mores and values on the acts and people of the past. It's arrogant and it's stupid and it's ignorant, and it proves no point other than the arrogance of the present people making the charge.
But you see this D.L. Hewley, entertainer, come on, and they said tons of Indians are killed. Now we're measuring them in weight. I mean, tons of Indians killed. But this is the level of ignorance.
Yes.
On some of these other cable outlets that hold themselves out as high and mighty, by the way.
David McCullough said we are now into our third generation of historically ignorant Americans, and this gentleman proves it.
Shiva, I've got to go to you. You actually sent Elizabeth Warren something for her birthday. Now, you're running against her as an independent, and you call yourself what, Shiva, the real Indian in the race? Because you are...
We've been saying, Laura, only a real Indian can defeat the fake Indian. And that point that we're making, it hits at a very, very deep level. And it makes everyone chuckle, and the reason it makes people chuckle is because we're bringing out a very, very apparent truth that the liberal white elites, the white liberals, don't want to discuss. And that's the following. If you look at what Elizabeth Warren has actually done, she shoplifted someone's identity. And then when it's exposed, as President Trump did accurately, they throw tantrums and call people racist. In fact, I was called a racist for exposing her and sending her the DNA test kit.
But you're like a triple PhD, biological sciences of MIT.
I have 4 degrees from MIT, and my PhD in biological engineering.
Okay, that's all. So you're really smart. So you sent her a DNA test kit, which she refused to. She didn't acknowledge. She didn't send a thank you note. I understand. She didn't do that.
Maybe the instructions.
Yeah, I was very disappointed.
Oh, they were the Sioux language.
Yeah, right.
When we should get the code talkers in it. But Shiva, I want to play for you now. Elizabeth Warren takes issue with your claims against her Indian heritage, Native American heritage. Let's just review what she said to verify her Indian heritage. Let's watch.
I still have a picture on my mantle at home, and it's a picture my mother had before that, a picture of my grandfather. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
I can't, that makes me laugh every time I hear it, but it's a serious point. She faked a minority status to list herself at the Harvard Law Directory to get special privileges and special treatment. I don't care what she says.
Yes, it's also cultural stereotyping.
It's cultural. Every Indian has high cheekbones?
Every Indian has high cheekbones? Isn't that a form of racism?
Well,
is Papaw a Cherokee term, Papaw? I didn't know. I'm not sure about that either, but go ahead.
I think the big issue here, is you have someone who says that they fight for the working people, fight for the poor, fight for people of color, and she has exploited that for her own benefit. And this is not about, when they claim that President Trump is making this a racial slur, in fact, she is the one who's a racist, because A, she took advantage of someone's race, she shoplifted someone's identity, and when it's exposed, they start screaming and throwing tantrums like children. And that's a fundamental issue here. And what's fascinating is, Massachusetts is where the revolution took place. The irony is Massachusetts has now become the haven of the sewer that feeds the swamp in Washington, D.C. And what I see happening is, our defeating Elizabeth Warren, what we hope to do is to send a wave out that independents, everyday people who actually work for a living, innovators, entrepreneurs, business people like President Trump,
smart people,
deserve to participate in governance. And that's what this
I
is
love
really
it.
about.
I love it. Shiva, I love what you've done.
Thank you.
I love your bravado. I love the fact that you sent her the DNA test kit. That stuff is
Well,
good,
I sent
Craig.
it on her birthday.
I know,
gift
he was
wrapped.
very
I sent it on
thoughtful
her
of you.
birthday.
Craig, I want Craig to end this out.
Yeah.
The racial obsession is not, as Joe Scarborough today said, that he only does this for, he only defends white Anglo-Saxon Protestants or something like that. He said, well, he's obsessed with people who are not white, like criticizing them. He went, they are the
elites are obsessed with
They are obsessed.
Yes, it's a way of diverting attention. This is right out of the book, The Screw Tape Letters, is to divert attention to things that are not important so you don't talk about the things that are important, like our failing public schools, which can be laid to the feet of liberalism, or failing government, or all the other things that liberalism
open borders, all of it. And you talk
illegal immigration.
and Craig, your book Citizen Newt was fabulous. Learn a lot from the 1994 period. Shiva, it's great to see you. We'll have both of you back.
Thank you.